Have you ever seen a grown man naked? How you doing today? My name is Ryan, and this is Down to Business Reviews. It's been a couple of weeks since my last review, and there has been a lot of things happening in my life. As of today, we have a 3-week-old little girl. Her name is Marin. She was born February 18th. 8 pounds, 4 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes. She's beautiful. So if I look a little bit more sleep deprived than usual, there's very good reason for it. That said, it's been a couple of weeks, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I don't want to give up on Movie Club. I have been watching all the films, I just haven't gotten around to reviewing any till now. So that said, this week for Movie Club we watched Airplane, directed by Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker, and starring Robert Hayes, Julie Hagerty, Leslie Neilsen, Peter Graves, Lloyd Bridges, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Airplane is a disaster spoof comedy movie from 1980 in which a flight crew all succumbs to food poisoning, leaving the fate of an airplane in the hands of its passengers. My brother and I actually grew up watching Leslie Nielsen films in the 90s, like Wrongfully Accused and the Naked Gun series, and Airplane is the movie that started Leslie Nielsen's career at the age of 54. Before then, he was known for his kind of no-nonsense roles, and I didn't know until recently that he actually had a career before comedy. He was 54 when he did Airplane, and now his name is synonymous with that kind of wacky slapstick comedy. Airplane starts off with a hilarious spoof of Jaws that lets you know right away that this is going to be an incredibly silly movie. Seriously though, they don't make movies like this anymore. Some of the references are a little dated and might sail over the heads of some younger viewers, like references to Saturday Night Fever, and there's like Vietnam flashbacks. I'm sure there are even things that went over my head because I was born 6 years after this movie came out. But if you've seen any disaster movie from any decade, you can appreciate the spirit of the spoof that is Airplane. The jokes in this film range from, incredibly juvenile to painfully punny to, wildly inappropriate jokes for a PG movie. The only reason this film isn't rated PG-13 is because that rating didn't exist yet. I'm flabbergasted at what they were able to get away with, simply because that rating between PG and R didn't exist. Here's a list of other films that are rated PG that don't have boobs or fellatio jokes in them. You ready? Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Up. Home Alone. Shrek. Although if it did, I might have actually seen that movie. It really was just a different time, I guess. Poltergeist is rated PG. That movie was originally rated R, and they got it bumped down to PG just by appeal. They didn't change anything, they just appealed for it. So there was no PG-13 to kind of nestle it into. The 80s were crazy. It kind of gives you an appreciation for that PG-13 rating, doesn't it? Let's talk about some right and wrong. What did Airplane do right? If I'm perfectly honest, Leslie Nielsen is the reason I watched this movie. His dry delivery is legendary. Visual humor is abundant in this film, and if you're like me and you enjoy the occasional incredibly painful pun, there's plenty in this movie for you to latch onto, especially if you have a drinking problem. There are a lot of little jokes that kind of happen one after the other that you pick up on the more times you see the film, so there is a lot here to appreciate on a comedic level. Parodies are great because they keep the real world in perspective. It's nice to not have to, take the movie so seriously all the time and just enjoy a good, goofy movie. The tiny bit parts in this film are some of the best, like the jive-talking grandma or the airport announcer couple. But what did Airplane do wrong? Unfortunately, the film is really starting to show its age. It wasn't the highest budget production when it was made back in 1980, but it looks like particularly dusty now. The movie references are very dated. That doesn't make it unfunny, it just makes it more funny the older you are. The main actor, Robert Hayes, was not the strongest part of the film, and for being, the main character, I wish he was a stronger comedic actor. I didn't care too much for Julie Hagerty as the flight attendant either. She's in the role of, the love interest, but I have her pegged in my mind as the mom and What About Bob, so there's nothing, alluring or sexy about her at all. She's like someone's mom. Airplane is a quintessential comedy from the 80s, and it started Leslie Nielsen's comedic career, which he would go on to become synonymous with spoofs and parodies. That kind of gives you hope for your own future career and aspirations, knowing that he didn't make a huge name for himself until, he was in his mid-50s. Watch Airplane with some friends, have a couple of beers, and just appreciate it for what it is. A funny movie from before you were born. Airplane gets a B. That's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. The question of the week is, what movie has made you laugh the hardest? I still remember when me and my friends went to go see Bruce Almighty in the theater, and the scene where Steve Carell gets possessed by Jim Carrey, we were losing our minds in stitches in the theater. I still remember it to this day. That's the hardest I have laughed in a movie theater. If you didn't know, I do these reviews for SourceFedNERD's Movie Club, which airs every Saturday on their channel. Sometimes I get featured, sometimes I don't. Also, be sure to check out the hashtag SFMC Airplane to see all the other reviews for this film. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, check out my Facebook page, find me on the Googs+. And thanks again so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.